Hello, I'm Pedro Mora with Pacific Media. And this white puppy was the symbol of peace to the widows and mothers of the dead soldiers after the First World War. Almost 100 years later, we're still repeating our calls for peace, and our political system is still going to war. How do we get out of this vicious circle? One suggestion is that we stop giving away our decision-making power to political representatives and then protesting. We, the citizens, must take full responsibility of every major political issue through referendum. This means not representative democracy, but direct democracy. Now, how do we start this monumental evolution of democracy? Very simple. You can now poll your initiative or opinion so it can be counted. The results of this poll will become the tool for that social change which most of us want.
Now, my name's Gary Jarvis, and this is of course, this is a Stop War event. It's a peace rally, and we're here because, you know, we're against war. It's an anti-war coalition. We've been in existence since 2002. We come to work the land is common, and to make the way sounds so distant divided. We will make home, so it will be a common country for all. Why are we here? What's this all about? Why are we opposed to war? Why are we for peace?
That might be
just a couple of things that we need to remember. We're calling for an end to the occupation of Afghanistan. We call for the withdrawal of Canadian and foreign troops from Afghanistan.
Initially, this war was sold in part, or in large part, as being about liberating Afghan women. Well, that's a joke. It has been a joke for a long time, but I think with Harper's G8 maternal health initiative, it's become even more of a joke. But because we've seen Stephen Harper, the champion of women's rights, willing to cut funding and prohibit funding for abortions that can save lives in the third world, women's lives throughout the developing world. So we say that Harper is not in favor of life. He's not in favor of the life of women, either in Afghanistan or anywhere throughout the world. And he's shown this with his attacks not only on women in the developing world, but with cuts to Women's Center here, right across the country, cuts to status of women, and many, many other programs designed to work for equality in this society. And in Afghanistan, in case you're wondering about the liberation of women, rape happens at an unprecedented rate. There is no justice. The legal system does not convict men. It certainly does not convict warlords and their powerful allies who systematically abduct and rape women. The rate of women's suicide, including by self-immolation, women setting themselves on fire, has never been higher in Afghanistan than today. It's higher today than even during the years of the Taliban regime. And the life expectancy of the liberated women in Afghanistan today has fallen during the years of the occupation. Life expectancy has fallen to a mere 43 years. And for all of that, we say shame on Stephen Harper, shame on the NATO powers, shame on the US government and all of the warmongers who have waged this occupation for the last 9 years. First of all, we want to remember today that Stephen Harper wanted Canada to be fully part of the war in Iraq, to be part of that invasion. If you'll remember, Harper and Stopwar.ca even wrote a letter of apology to the American government and people in 2003 after Canada didn't go in. They wrote a letter of apology in the Wall Street Journal in March 2003. So that's who Stephen Harper is, ladies and gentlemen. Also on his resume, he has years and years of stubbornly refusing to recognize the claims for sanctuary and refugee status of war resistors here in Canada. And that's another shame. He has not upheld Canada's tradition of welcoming resistors to war from the United States. Also, Harper has not spoken out about closing Guantanamo Bay, which remains open. Stephen Harper and his government for years have left Canada's child soldier, Omar Khadr, to rot in Guantanamo and now facing an illegal military tribunal. And we say shame on Stephen Harper for leaving Omar Khadr in Guantanamo facing torture all of these years. Terrible. And on Khadr, Omar Khadr, before he was tortured at Guantanamo, he was tortured at Bagram Air Base, which is just outside Kabul. So for some reason, some Afghans attacked this air base a couple of weeks ago. I think it was actually last week. There was an attack on Bagram Air Base. And one of the reasons is, for years, that has been a center of torture and indefinite detention and indefinite detention right there in Afghanistan. So torture is not a mistake. Torture is not something that Afghans do to other Afghans in this war. Torture is part and parcel of the occupation of Afghanistan, and we unequivocally condemn torture in all situations. It's not our values, it's not the values of the people of Canada, the people who work and live in this country. It's only the values of our very backward government and its allies around the world. So we're here today to condemn torture in all its forms.
We work, we came together, we need no sword. We will not bow to the masters or amen to the Lord. We are free, so we are bold. You killers all stand up for glory, stand up now.
Now, if you think that's brutality, NATO's got a lot more of that in store coming up in the coming months in Kandahar. In just a few days, they're going to start a new offensive. The largest offensive in the history of NATO's war will take place in Kandahar province starting this June, in just a few days. So although our numbers are modest here today, we really want this to kick off a summer of resistance to war. So whether you're part of Stop War or you have other groups, let's talk and let's plan so that today is the beginning of our own offensive, an anti-war offensive, where we keep it in their face all summer long, wherever the politicians are having their barbecues, their constituency meetings, their fundraisers. Let's make sure that they pay a political price, and there's a social and economic price to be paid by this government that is waging an unjust and illegal war in our names in Afghanistan. So here's hoping that we kick off a summer of resistance to war on this lousy day, and look forward to being in the streets with you and Harper as death. Thank you very much.
Aprendimos a quererte desde la histórica altura donde el sol de tu bravura le puso un beso a la muerte.